Welcome to BVP's Top 3. I'm Drew Zahn, Director of Communications with the Family Leader, and I am here, of course, with BVP himself, Bob Vanderplatz, President and CEO of the Family Leader. On this segment, we talk about three of the biggest news stories of the land at the time. We get Bob's perspective, and Bob, we're going to start with the one story that's turning into many, many stories as President-elect Donald Trump prepares his cabinet. Your thoughts on some of the picks that have been announced and what he's doing?
It's been absolutely fun, Drew, and it's been fun watching even the media's reaction to a lot of his picks. It reminds me of, hey, elections have consequences. Winners make history, they write history. Winners also make picks of who's going to serve with them and around them. And honestly, overall, I think he's just made some brilliant choices. And I take a look at Secretary of State in regards to, say, Marco Rubio. We've had Marco Rubio here as a presidential candidate in 2016, been in our offices, he's been at our leadership summit, he's been at our Thanksgiving family forum. Marco Rubio understands the international quagmire that's out there, why real leadership is needed out of Washington, D.C., nation of Israel, the threat of China, North Korea, Iran, what's going on with Russia and Putin. He shares a lot of Donald Trump's philosophies as well. So I think just like with Mike Pompeo, where we said, yeah, we can put our head to the pillow at night pretty easy with Mike Pompeo being Secretary of State, I'd say the same is true about Marco Rubio. My only regret with Marco Rubio being appointed is you're going to lose him as United States Senator. But that gives Ron DeSantis a great opportunity to appoint a successor to Marco Rubio. Another one that I think maybe our listeners they don't know as much about, they're not as dialed in about, is Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles, she was the mastermind behind Trump's campaign. Susie Wiles, this is not her first rodeo. She's been around the block a time or two. And not to say that she's old, she's probably my age, so very young. But she has great wisdom, great discernment. But more than that, she has the respect of Donald Trump, which means she has found a way where I can communicate with Trump where he will listen. She can cut through the noise and get to him. Susie Wiles is a major player in this administration. I can't think of a better pick. When I heard that she was chief of staff, it's a key position. You talk about differences. 2016, Donald Trump put in Reince Priebus, basically the establishment. And a lot of the establishment people tried to sell him out in 2016. Now Trump is putting in one of his own, Susie Wiles, and I think you're going to see, and I think you're already seeing, a difference in the direction of this administration. But the third one that I'd probably point out, and somebody that we have a long history with, Governor Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee, well before he was presidential candidate, Mike Huckabee in 2008, where we got to know him really well. We endorsed him. He wins the Iowa caucuses. We've been longtime friends. Mike Huckabee was a friend of the nation of Israel. He's been to Israel countless times. He's a great friend of Benjamin Netanyahu. He is going to do a great job bringing an evangelical voice, and the reason why evangelicals stand with the nation of Israel, but being an advisor to Trump, a friend of Benjamin Netanyahu. And maybe, Drew, this is not a cabinet pick or a pick by Trump, but I think it sends a message to the nation of Israel and to us who watch the nation of Israel. When Benjamin Netanyahu made Dr. Yakil Leiter, who spoke at our leadership summit last year, as Israel's ambassador to the United States. So the Family Leader seems to be at this unique cross-section, this intersection of Mike Huckabee being ambassador to Israel and Yakil Leiter being ambassador to the United States. I think it's a great moment in time. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of enthusiasm. America chose with two contrasting worldviews, and I believe they chose well.
So speaking of cabinet and administration, I saw an article online just this morning, some nervousness, some hand-wringing on a part of the media establishment about what Donald Trump's going to do in the area of education specifically, and some of his campaign promises that he was going to drastically scale back, moving towards even eliminating the federal Department of Education. Your thoughts on that move?
3 cheers. Remember, when I campaigned for governor, my background is education. As a teacher and a coach and a high school principal. For the longest time, I said, listen, the people who care most about the children in Sheldon, Iowa, are the parents and the community of Sheldon, Iowa. And then it goes probably to Des Moines, Iowa. But the last place is Washington, D.C. And Trump is getting that. Trump's going, listen, we are feeding this bureaucratic monster, and they're making rules and regulations that are out of step with America, whether it be with pronouns, gender ideology, if boys can play in girls' sports, if boys can be in girls' locker rooms. He's like, enough is enough. We're done with this. We're taking it out of Washington, D.C. We're moving it back to the states. We're going to champion parental rights. He didn't say it, but what we say all the time here is that Deuteronomy 6, it gives parental responsibility to the parents, educational responsibility to the parents, not to some government bureaucracy. And he also wants to institute school choice. So to me, I'm not sure he can get it all done, but I cheer him on for wanting to do it. Let's get the Department of Education, let's be done with it in Washington, D.C. Let's put it back to the states, put it to local control, but let the anchor be with parents.
Point 3, an article that is getting some publicity right now, a story about a couple of journalists themselves who did, in some people's eyes, the unthinkable, in others, according to The View, unforgivable. The co-hosts of Morning Joe on MSNBC had a private sit-down meeting with Donald Trump. And one of the reasons they said they had this face-to-face meeting was because they recognized that the election showed us that the media as a whole is out of touch with President Trump, with his supporters, with that portion of America that would vote for him, and they realized a conversation was needed.
Well, let's talk first about The View. The View saying it's unforgivable. I mean, these are people who preach tolerance, right? And all this other tolerance to them is a one-way street. So therefore, if you give an audience to Donald Trump, you're giving him credibility. And America just elected him, not just by a thin margin either, but by a landslide. And so it's not giving him credibility, it's seeking to understand. That's what The View should be about as well. So I applaud Joe Scarborough and his wife, Mika, I believe. I wanted to say Makia, but Mika. So Joe and Mika going to President Trump and saying, listen, obviously we're out of touch. We didn't see this coming. We don't know whose voice we're giving voice to, but obviously it's not the voice of America. You've tapped into something. We want to learn, what have you tapped into? So as much as I give Joe and Mika, a lot of praise for having the willingness, the humility to say, I want to go see Donald Trump, I also give Donald Trump a lot of credit here. Because he could have said, hey, I won, you lost. You were trying to defeat me this entire time. I won. I'm going to spike the football in the end zone. But instead, he said, listen, I'm going to open up my place at Mar-a-Lago. You're welcome to come in. He may have made them pay for breakfast. I don't know. But he allowed them to come in. Let's have a conversation. Understand that we still want what's in the best interest of America, but there's 2 different ways of going about it. And I'm choosing one that is based in a biblical worldview. Whether he said that or not, what Donald Trump is trumpeting is more or less a biblical worldview.
I know we just covered 3 points, BVP's top 3, but I'll give you a plus extra one. You had a personal event in your life that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we did. I'm thinking everybody's into plus today, so why not us have a plus too? BVP 3 plus. The plus is Darla and I are thrilled to, and we shared as well, but our second son, Josh, got married to his girlfriend, fiance, Daniela. Just a beautiful wedding in Cabo San Lucas. And as I was able to mention at the wedding, I told Daniela's family, Daniela's friends, obviously our family and friends, this is an answer to prayer. When you have kids, it changes everything. And when you have kids, you start thinking about their health, their safety, their well-being, all that stuff. But pretty soon, it starts going into who's going to be their future spouse. And so from early on, Darla and I prayed for our boys as spouses. We're thrilled that Hans and Courtney, who've been married now for 6 years and doing well with 2 of our grandkids, Josh and Daniela, and Logan and Taylor coming up. And talking about choosing well, our boys have chose well. They've taken an example of their dad, went way above their head. But marriage matters. We believe that. Stronger marriages, stronger families, stronger communities, a stronger country.
So congratulations to the growing Vanderplots family, and thank you for listening today, watching today, BVP's Top 3. For more of Bob's commentary on the top issues of the day, make sure you check us out at BVP's Top 3 on YouTube, or simply go to thefamilyleader.com, and we'll see you next week.